Stitches of love we weave so. In this online world we come to grow. Mom and Pop Quilt Shop, where hearts align. Let's embrace the craft and let our souls shine.
Hey everyone, welcome to Weekend Project. I'm Laura Lynn of the Mama Pop Quilt Shop Studio. We're going to work on a mini quilt. We're working on a mini jelly roll race. Now I had a panel here that ended up getting a little bit of spray foam on it, so I had to cut a little bit of it off because I was like, okay, well, what do I do with this panel? It's not really, I can't use it for much anymore, so I came up with this idea of how to use it. So chopping it up and using it as a jelly roll in itself because it has beautiful color combinations because it was a panel, okay? So this is what I've got here. Very easy to achieve these steps here, and it could great for a cat quilt, a dolly, a teddy bear, whatever. It's or even as a nice big, placemat for the table. Okay, so we're gonna do that in a couple little steps. So what I did is I cut my strips at 1.5 inches, and then I have this little accent piece right here is 1.5 by 2.5. So super easy. And then I had some lights and some darks, but when I was cutting the panel pieces, and then I just kind of alternated. So I had 9 of the light strips and 9 of the dark strips. So, or whatever colors you want. You can totally use your scraps for this. And each piece is probably about 20 to 21 inches long. Okay. And then what I did is I took that accent piece and I sewed it on the end of each piece because we're going to have that piece, and then it's going to be joined to that piece, and then so on and so forth. So we're going to have a light and a dark, a light and a dark. Well, that's how our pattern's going to work out. That's how that one was. So it's nice and pretty. So once you get it's easy to chain piece. Make sure we're good to go. Yeah, 2.4 stitches. I'm just using white thread, and I'm just trying to, do the best I can to keep an accurate seam allowance. Just adding the little bits, the accent pieces to the end. You could use a square if you wanted to. I kind of like the little bit of a longer piece. Well, why not? Mix it up, right? If you wanted to, you could also fold it and put it on the diagonal. You could sew here and then do a flip, and then you could do the other piece another way, make a little V, or do a little, a little angle piece or whatever works for you. I kind of like it just doing a straight on. Why not? Okay. And really, in just a matter of a few seams, you got yourself really something cute. So once you get all those bits with their little ends on them, and then you're going to add them from end to end, making sure an accent piece is in between. So like there, and then you would just sew and so and so until you get a nice big long strip. This is what we have right here. Okay. And then on one of the pieces that you're starting off with, you want to cut off about 10 inches, okay? Because in that way, it'll add for a little bit of more randomness throughout your project instead of everything just being exactly one distance of a piece from the other. So we just give it a little chop and it adds a little bit of fun, okay? You do 10 inches, do 6 inches, do whatever makes you happy. I'm going to go there, okay? There's no real wrong, okay? Now what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're going to take the other end and you're going to lay it straight on top. So you're going to put end to end. So this end right here, we're going to go find the other end. You don't want it twisting. You just want it to be as straight as possible because you're going to end up doing a really long seam. But each seam gets shorter as we go across, just like a jelly roll race. I'm not racing anybody here though. I'm too old to race. I'll be like an old horse. They put me out to pasture. Okay, so now we got our other end here, and we're going to take that and put it right on top. And then that, line it up, and then stitch down, put a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way. So I find that I like my walking foot definitely for this because it helps feed it. And what you want to do, you may want to put a piece of tape on your machine or have one of those little sensors where, not sensors, but a little where you can make sure you have an accurate 1/4 inch seam allowance, that sort of thing, just to keep on trucking. So it is a long seam. Try not to feed it into the machine on a curve or you're going to end up with a curve. So try and keep it as straight as possible, but don't yank it. Okay, so let's go underneath the machine, line it up. Okay, and then I'm just kind of like fluff it on my lap a little bit, just kind of like to fluff it up. And then I'm just going to line the edge up and then just keep on trucking. When I was pressing it, I kind of pressed it all in the same direction. But that's because I'm working with some nice, I'd say medium to dark colors, so it's okay that way. But if you were working with a lighter color, that would definitely press to the dark side. So this is going to be the longest seam. Fast mow this and see at the end. This seam. Okay, we're coming to the end of our strip of being the two long strips being sewn together. This is the longest seam. It gets shorter each one we go because we're just going to split it and sew again. So what I want to do is make sure it's coming nice and even to the end, and then we're just going to take a pair of scissors and just snip right there. Okay, so just like that. And keep your scissors handy because we're going to need it for the next one. So in 4 seams, I believe it's 4 seams, so this is 1 seam. We have ourselves a quilt, right? Our quilts are cut. And we are going to push the fabric to one side. So we are going to do that. It's going to take a moment. But we have a nice long tail here. Just going to take it and then push it forward. Don't worry about the little threads in between. You can deal with that afterwards. Just give it some pressing. And it's nice to be able to use the panel into a couple of different things. This was a bigger panel. I did actually get spray foam on two panels, so I'll show you the other one and what I'm going to make into it for next weekend's project. So if you're not a subscriber, please do so. Ring the bell. It greatly helps our channel grow. We really appreciate it. We'd love to have you here. Like-minded individuals who don't mind petting and cuddling fabric. Play with color. Have a good time with friends. It's a great way to use your scraps, use your stash, maybe even if you had a panel you just didn't know what to do with. It's not, you know, maybe something that's for you. Chop it up. Chop it up, put it with a complementary fabric or something completely opposite. Do what I've done, just strips of 20, or even if you just want to make a nice big quilt out of it or a couple, you know, that's, have at her, right? Use it as an accent color. Use that panel as an accent color. Almost to the end. And then we're going to take the two ends and put them together like we did for the long strip. Now it's too wide. Now you can choose whichever side you want to sew on, whether you want to sew on that side or this side. But we're going to take that there and we're going to find the other end, making sure not to make any loops. It makes it easier to cut when you get to that side. Okay? So there's no loops. It's nice and straight. We're going to take this end. I'm going to lay it right on top. And we're going to sew down either this side or that side. You decide. Whichever makes you happy. Be whimsical. Roll the dice. Okay, and then again, a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And this one should be shorter because it's half as long. We're almost there. Try and keep those edges together, nice and even. Okay, we're almost at the end again. As you can see here, we've got our little loop. Okay. Just gonna line up. Get as close as we can to make sure we're making a nice, even, straight cut. And the principles make the same as if you were to do a large quilt with 2.5 inch strips. You would usually use a jelly roll, and there's about 42 pieces, 40 to 42 pieces, depends on the manufacturer of the jelly roll, per roll. And then you usually have sometimes a little accent piece, or depending on how you put them together. Okay, so now we're coming very close to the end here. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to pull it towards me to make sure I get a nice straight cut. There we go. And then we're just going to sew straight off. And then we're going to put those two edges again together. Okay, so now that is 2 seams. Okay, it's not very long at this point. Again, we would press it open. Just the seams to fit so much nicer together. birdies outside. It's a beautiful spring day here. So excited. It's actually been 3 beautiful days in a row. We're almost. Okay, and then again, we're going to put those edges together, end to end, and sew down one of the sides. Okay, so we're keeping it nice and straight. There's no fold or pleat or anything, and we're going to put those 2 edges together and sew down a side. So this will be seam number 3. Okay. It leaves only one more after this one, and then we have our little mini quilt together. Now this would be really cute as an idea to do for a youngster or a couple or a single, like a person, and then have one for the pet, or like I said, a teddy bear, or some little loved critter. Who wouldn't want a matching quilt, right? I mean, I totally wouldn't take the one for my Cabbage Patch Kid. Who all remembers their Cabbage Patch Kid's name? I do. You had a Cabbage Patch. What was its name? I had a boy Cabbage Patch. His name was Adam Edward. I loved it. Of course, it was the craze of the '80s back then, and I know my mom fought hard to get one for me. I wanted one so bad. All right, here we go too. We're at the fold edge where it's folded over, so we just want to have a little bit more, and then come in with our scissors. Make sure it's taut, giving a nice straight cut. Continuing off. We're going to put those 2 edges together. And you can see the beautiful pop of color that's forming now between all those little strips of color. And there's such a varied panel that I used. It was one with the trees, and it had like a stack and wax sort of feel to it, like a print to it. Now we're going to put 2 edges together. Okay. And then that's just one more seam straight down there. And that's mini quilt top done. The longest part is attaching the accent colors to the end of the strips. Or sewing the strips together. That's the longest part because it's just a little bit and you have to do many of them together, right? So this, like I said, this form here is with 19 strips and then an accent color on the end of each strip. Okay, and coming to where the fold is, I'm going to make sure it's taut. Cut along the edge. Finish it out. There we go. Give that a press. And we have a cute little top. Now you could use these as big squares for a quilt, right? Big rectangles. Why not? You could build a few of them out together with your strips. Great way to scrap bust and use your stash. Okay, so it went just like that. And then what I did for this one is I added a 2.5-inch border all the way around, so you can see. Okay, just like that. I added a 2.5-inch border all around, and then added some lovely quilting to it with one of my very favorite stitches. We all know we love that one. And then I just sewed right around the base, like right about the edge here. And then what you can do is you can put a backing this way if you like, and then turn it right side out, leave a little gap, or you can add a backing and then quilt it up that way and put a little binding around it. The options are kind of endless. What I have planned for them is I have, like I said, here's the other panel. And what I have planned for this one is actually I'm going to turn it into a bag for my sister-in-law as a birthday gift. It was her birthday just on the weekend, and I wanted to make her something special and unique, and I didn't want to throw the panel out. So this was also one had a little bit of spray foam on it, so I have this light purple for the inside and some pretty little floral fabric for the pockets. So stay tuned for next weekend's weekend project where I'm going to turn this into a bag. Okay, so thank you very much for joining me today, and we'll see you soon. See you on the next one. Take care, everybody.
Stitches of love we weave and sew. In this online world we come to grow. Mom and Pop Quilt Shop, where hearts align. Let's embrace the craft and let our soul